Hey guys, welcome back to Tip Tuesday. My name is Matthew Sturkey with Stone Mill Log and Timber Homes. Thanks for joining us today. Coming to you today from our plant facility here in Knoxville, Tennessee at our national headquarters. Last week we talked about tips for selecting the log profile that was right for you and your design. We talked specifically about the differences between the dovetailed chink profile and the dovetailed what we call log on log profile, and specifically we talked about some of the differences between the log lengths of those two different profiles. Today we're going to stay kind of in that same area of conversation and talk about specifically splice joints and tips for how you splice two logs together when you've got a longer design. Let's say you're designing a 60 by 30 and you've got a nice long wall. You're typically going to eliminate a lot of splice joints by having a door on those longer walls. Those doors will go typically from your subfloor all the way up to and through that fifth course of log, so it's going to eliminate a lot of splice joints there. And then two, when you get above the doors in what we call those header logs, you're going to have splice joints, and the big thing that we do is making sure that we eliminate those heat seams in those splice joints, making sure we stagger the splice joints so that they don't stack up on top of each other like right over the center of the door. So we offset those splice joints, let's say in courses 6 and 7, or if we're doing a log on log profile, it might be courses 9 and 10. But more importantly, when we do a splice joint, we don't just butt two logs together, slap some caulk on it, call it a day. What we do is actually a handcrafted tongue and fork joiner, where we cut a tongue in one side, cut a fork in the other side, and those two logs will marry up together. We put 3 peg holes and pegs in those locations to hold that joint together. We put steel alignment rods on each side of those joints to stabilize that connection and make sure that connection doesn't move. And then eventually, when you do your staining and caulking and sealing, you'll put a caulk joint on the external face of where the tongue and fork splice come together, and that'll eliminate any airflow or any water flow from breaking the external face. We put an expansion tape inside the tongue and fork splice, and what this joint does is in essence eliminates the heat seam. So whether it's a tongue and fork splice joint or whether it's a keyway, something that will eliminate heat or air loss from passing through. So you want to eliminate the heat seam. If you butt logs together, that is not a good design to eliminate the heat transfer or the heat seam from the exterior to the interior side of that log wall. So the tip of the day is just make sure if you're doing a longer length design, no worries. We can do the splice joint connections, we'll stagger the joints, but we do them in a way that eliminates that heat seam and prevents airflow from coming through that external face and getting all the way through the house. So don't be discouraged or don't be afraid to design those longer designs. For those of you who have designs that are 60 feet long or 50 feet long, need not to worry, because when we do those connections, we do them in this fashion where it eliminates the heat seam. We pin it on each side to stabilize that joint. We peg it in those 3 locations to keep that in place and to create a nice aesthetic look so that those splice joints don't become unsightly. So if you have any questions about splice joints or log lengths, please don't hesitate to call us anytime. We're happy to answer any of those questions for you. Hopefully this has been helpful today. Please join us again next week for more Tip Tuesday. Until then, stay safe and healthy. Have a great week.